In this interview, I'm speaking to Russ Stevens, founder of RSVP Magic. Russ talks about his career from performing to producing magic and the need for strong personal values. Mr. Russ Stevens.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Excellent stuff. So, as always with these interviews, I've had a chat with you before I've started filming, so that's all a bit false and a bit artificial, that hello, wasn't it? But
yeah, it is a little bit, but we haven't chatted that much, everyone.
But it's got to be done. It's got to be done. So, a little bit about how I know you and the sort of what I know about you is, I mean, I originally sort of met you because you contacted me a while ago, because I was one of the first DVDs you put out under the RSVP banner.
Yeah, you were.
And I drove across the country to come and be filmed in your front room doing talking about and it was and it was a great experience for me, and it was something, and it's been good. And even now that the DVD, it was Crowd Puller that we did, and we did another one, and it was all good stuff. So I met you then. I kind of knew you before that through Duncan and bits and bobs, and knew you by reputation as well. But things have kind of changed for you a lot since then, haven't they? And that was kind of the beginning of the change, was it then?
Massively.
Because before that you were, let's get this straight so people know, before that you were a working illusionist and a busy working large-scale illusionist, yeah?
Yeah. When we did Crowd Pull, I was still performing, but at that time my plan had been that I wanted to stop the performing and go full-time into stopping performing.
So what were you doing? Cruises mainly, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. I did a DVD. I think before yours, one of the first ones was a cruising DVD on magicians. I better rephrase that. A DVD for magicians on cruising on ships.
Magic's best kept secret. Is that it?
That's it. Yeah. And because of that, a lot of people thought I was a cruise ship magician. But I probably did about 4 years of my whole career performing on the ships, which was kind of near the end. So. But before that, I started when I was 16, so like 1978, something like that. And I performed professionally all the way through that, from a little act all the way through to doing a big illusion show. And then the final 4 years were on the ships.
Right.
So it was kind of a little bit easier and a smaller show to what I was doing originally. So, yeah.
So you were one of these guys who ended up with just kind of truckloads of
crazy
props.
Crazy. Like really, really crazy. And in the end, I kind of fell out of love with the whole performing thing, to be honest with you. I was interested in the lighting, staging, music and everything like that. Magic, I love magic, but I wasn't so into the ego thing of being on the stage. I could take it or leave it. So stopping hasn't been a problem for me. I've literally just been able to go one day, that was it.
So what was it though? I mean, because you say you did it in one day and you decided that was it, but there has to be a sort of a turning point into it.
It's a gradual thing. And all my life from being a kid to when I decided to stop, the one big thing, sadly, that I really always wanted was a big dog. How sad is that? I wanted a big dog that I could just walk. I live near Blackpool, so we've got a big beach in St Anne's. So I just wanted to be able to walk a dog, have a normal life. That was what I really wanted for a long, long time. And it was a long time though. It wasn't just, one day I went, I'm going to stop. Although when I did, bizarrely, it was, I did a corporate in Las Vegas. Oh, sounds like I'm doing.
No, but I was going to bring this one up. Is this the big one you did for Microsoft?
That was another one, but bizarrely, the two biggest gigs I kind of probably did financially and on scale were, I did a Bill Gates keynote speech in Copenhagen in, I think it was 2006, and then 2007, right at the end, beginning of 2008, I did a big show in Vegas at the Mandalay Bay. And it was a Mandalay Bay show where Duncan Trillo, for those that don't know, Duncan's the editor of Magic Week. Duncan's my best friend, so we've known each other since we were kids. And we both love the same kind of magic. In magic, we both have exactly the same thoughts. We're pretty identical in what we like, what we think of the current state of it. So it was always the thing that Duncan and I would go to Vegas. There's my dog.
I was going to say, there you go, I'm right on cue.
So we always wanted to go to Vegas to go see the magic shows when we were kids, and we never did. And bizarrely, I got this gig, and Duncan came out as my magic illusion consultant. So he came out, and it was bizarrely to him that we did the gig. We were there for about 9 days, I think, and it was just a one-night gig. And on the night of the gig, I finished, walked off stage. It was in an arena in the Mandalay Bay, so it was about 7,000, 8,000 people. I remember walking off, and the champagne corks were popping, because it was a fashion thing for Tony and Guy, the hair company, and big parties. And I remember walking off and saying to Duncan, let's go back to the hotel. I remember walking back and saying, that's it. That's my last proper big show. And it wasn't. I did the Blackpool convention in 2010, February, and that was the last proper one where I did the Illusions.
Right.
Such. But I'd kind of quit. I had quit on that gig. The Las Vegas thing was really where I thought I'd quit. You know, that was it.
But you didn't see it from that point thinking, right, this is the start of something bigger and better.
No.
You saw it as the pinnacle of what you...
I've been doing stuff with you, and I'd done Mark Raffles' DVD, and yeah, and I'd kind of done quite well with them. And at that time, there weren't that many people doing Magic DVDs.
Yeah.
There was L&L, and there was a few. You know, there weren't. Illusionist wasn't really, to me anyway. It wasn't as big as it is now.
Yeah.
There were so many producers. So it was kind of good when I first sold yours, and Martin Sanderson's was probably the first one, Corporate Close-Up. That did really, really well. And it just shocked me, you know, this internet thing and this whole, you're reaching the world instantly, you know. So, yeah, and I decided, I've always been into the visual thing, so doing the video company was great. It totally
So had you done a lot of the, you know, had you done the video stuff before, or did you decide that was a skill you would learn because it would give you an exit route?
I was on the ships. When I decided to do the ships, I'd done a show in Blackpool. I performed in a show called Mystique for 7 years, which was a gig that I was booked into. And I came in with sort of a broomstick suspension illusion. By the time I left, probably 80% of the show, illusion-wise, was mine. I owned everything. So I kind of slipped my own illusions in. The company were more than happy because it wasn't costing them anything. But then when I left, they had no show really. So I took this show with me. I did a thing with Joe Pasquale for a year. And then the following year, I put my own show on in Blackpool. It's half a mile from where the Mystique show used to be, and lost all my money. So,
right.
Yeah, just barely sort of kept my house, kept the props, but that was it. So I then went to Germany for 3 years working. I did the variety theatres, and I also did a big amusement park for 2 seasons. So that kind of got me back on my feet. And that wasn't really what knocked it out of me, to be honest. I'd decided way before that it wasn't really for me. But I decided in about the year 2000, something like that I wanted to do the ships. Duncan had always said, you know, you can do financially really well on the ships and save a lot of money. And I thought, well, that's kind of sounds good that you're in one place without the hassles of touring a big show. So I did that. And yeah, that was it really. I just decided 3 or 4 or 5 years of it. It was 4 years, I think. Duncan said, if you're going to do it, long contracts, you're going to either end up an alcoholic, don't drink, or divorced, right? Or go completely crazy, or learn something. So I remember I went and bought a Canon wasn't even HD then, just a Canon G2, I think it was. And my girlfriend, now wife, sort of told me, what on earth have you spent on that for? You're mad. So now I think I want to start learning video editing. And that's what I did. And I literally taught myself on the ship with no internet at that time, really. And any problems I had, it might take me a day to figure out. Now you can find it out on Google in 5 seconds. But I'd spend all day trying to work out why it wouldn't do it, how to do it on Final Cut. And so I kind of self-taught myself. It's the kind of best way, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, a lot of these, because I mean, you know, you look at some of the guys on the cruises. You got guys like, you know, John Lenihan as well. He's writing books now. Do you know?
It's on the ship. I did 1 show a week. Well, 2 sittings, 2 houses, but you know, I'd work on the Friday or Saturday night, and that would be it. So it sounds really great. Oh, you're in the sun, you're traveling the world. Well, I'd seen the world, and Duncan still thinks it's amusing that I could see these amazing landmarks and not get off the ship. Because that isn't my thing.
Right.
So my wife loves it, but for me, I don't care. You know, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I always wanted to be at home, have a normal life. So the video, I didn't do the video for that though. It was just, I knew that I had to do something to learn something while I was doing nothing.
Stop you going mad.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done one cruise ship, and that was it. I was on for 8 days, and I was going slightly nuts myself just after 8 days. So 4 years.
Yeah, if anyone's doing it, the advice is do an illusion act or something where you can take your partner, depending on the relationship you got. But if you get on with your wife, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Take them on the ship. Because otherwise, if I'd been on my own, I would have gone mad for 4 years, literally. So, yeah, unless you're young. If you're a young guy, then it's great in other ways.
Yes, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But I was, on my own, and I'm not young, so that's why I went slightly mad after 8 days. So now you don't perform at all.
No, I stopped. Yeah, completely.
And
the show. Funny enough, all the techies at the Opera House in Blackpool, I've known them for years because I've done shows there, and I remember they weren't giving me enough rehearsal time, and it was really quite important to me because it was my last gig. And I remember saying to one of them, Russ Brown, who now stage manages the convention, and I said, this is my last ever show. It'll be my last. And yeah, sure, yeah. And I said, seriously, this is it, finished. And it was, totally.
So it was going into the sort of the video production, the RSVP thing, which is very fortunate that you have the initials RS and VP is video production.
I did.
It's very clever. You see. It took me a while to work it out. What's he called it? Oh, I see now.
Sitting around the table and going, let's think of a video. Oh, I know. Yeah. That's a great idea, Russ. No, it's quite obvious, really.
But, so, I mean, you said you were surprised by the whole kind of, by the fact that the first videos, I mean, I'm not very surprised that, that Crowd Puller sold brilliantly well around the world.
Yeah. Lots. No, it did really, really well. And some DVDs, some stuff, even now, I'll get something and think that's just going to be fantastic, and it will just do okay. It's just really weird. Some of the projects that you'll think this is going to really do great, and then another project, which is a bit like yours. No, another project is great. Like yours was great, but I've had other stuff where you just don't really think it's going to do much, and then it'll just. The magic community do like the strangest of things sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I'm amazed by the size of the market as well, and I think it's one of those things. If you can tap into it, which I never have managed to really, but if you can tap into it, it's a great thing.
It's also committing to it as well. I think a lot of performers, they're still performing, or they're close-up guys, they're gigging. I think you really have to run it like a business.
Yeah.
So this is my full-time business as such. Although we'll talk later, I'm sort of diversifying back into the performing thing.
Yeah, I will get to that, and it will get to that. Cause, so, I mean, with the business now, the RSVP side and the video production side, obviously when you started, as you said, there was you and probably a couple of other guys doing it. And now with the DSLRs, with everyone's a producer.
Yeah.
Have you found you've managed to be able to sort of... what are you doing to kind of combat that, or are you just sort of doing what you do and doing it well? I mean...
Yeah, I've always said it's like a performing thing. If you're doing it better or not better, but if you're doing a good job, you should always work. If you're a good act, you'll always work. If you're good at anything, you should always work. And I think because I got in earlier than most, I kind of built up a customer base. So I have a really loyal following of customers. And yeah, it's just that thing of it's a brand, isn't it? I'm only a small company, but I think the secret to my success is I'm a one-man operation.
Yeah.
Everyone else I know is, they're employing people, they've got, warehouses to pay for, they've got, So for me, it's far better to just be smaller, but to do well by just producing. So I film, I edit, I do the lighting, choose the magicians and all of that. It's just a one-man band, but I'm not a team player. I never will be. So for me, it's perfect. I can't really work alongside people.
Right. So what's your process then, in terms of putting it all together? I mean, have you constantly got things in the pipeline? Are you looking forward to the rest of 2013? Are you kind of going, right, I know what I'm going to be doing?
Yeah, I'm always about 3 months ahead.
Right.
I also do a lot of stuff for Peter Nardi, who's a really good friend now.
Yeah.
We know each other before the video editing thing, and he's like become one of my best friends. So, and I do a lot of editing and shooting for him. Probably as much for him. So anything Alakazam brought out in the last 6-7 years that's got a video to it, I've shot.
Right.
So I think with the stuff I've been doing, plus the masses of Peter's, I probably shot personally and edited more magic projects than anyone, I would think.
Yeah.
When I think about it, So, yeah. So I do Peter's stuff still.
Because he's a phenomenal sort of businessman in terms of creating a brand, isn't he? I mean, I remember going to Peter's place when he had a garage next to his house. You used to have to walk through his front room to get into the shop.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's got a big operation now, but his operation, it's not my bag at all. I don't want to be, I couldn't do it either. Peter's a far better businessman than me. I'm kind of more into the creative side of things, and wanting to do a good project. And sometimes I'll film a magician. Obviously, every magician I film, I'm not like, oh, they're all wonderful, but it'll either be the trick that's great, or the trick's okay, but they're great performers, or it's always got to have something to it for me to want to do it. I don't want to just knock out a project just as a project to make money. And that's it. I think that's been the secret as well. I've got to sort of believe in it.
Yeah. So what's your criteria? I mean, well, as I say, what's your process now then about for the stuff you do for yourself, other than the stuff you do for Peter?
Yeah, everything's different. I'm beginning of next month, I'm filming a really big project with Will Houston.
Right.
So that's more of a technical DVD, really. I mean, it isn't going to. I know Will's style. He's not standing in a bar in Illusions doing his David Blaine stuff. So for me, that's really exciting because I haven't really done anything like that before, and the whole look of it's going to be different to anything I've done. So I try and make each one different, otherwise I'd go crazy.
So you've got the RSVP things. I mean, in terms of the lifestyle you've now got from doing that, as opposed to the lifestyle, because obviously you start off life as a magician, don't you? And you have this idea about wanting to be the guy doing the shows in Vegas, and that's the. Yeah. But now you're a one-man band video company.
I never had that. My thing was, and it's the most bizarre story, that the thing that got me into magic was seeing a magician called Johnny Hart on TV in the 70s. And he was a manipulator. People don't know, he did a budgie act, but he was a card manipulator. And he was just like my hero. It was just like, I remember seeing him producing cards. It was the back palming thing. And I remember, I don't know what it was, but whatever it was made me go, I just want to do that. I think that's the coolest thing. I didn't want to do an act. I didn't ever imagine doing it. I just thought that's so cool for no other reason than it was just cool. I wasn't a kid at school that was bullied or socially inadequate, or which a lot of magicians seem to be. But I thought I was quite normal. But I just thought this guy doing these cards was amazing. And then when I finished, 2010 was my last proper gig, and then about 18 months, 2 years later, I meet Johnny Hart, who's retired, who now lives, or did live, probably half a mile from where I live. And he's not from here. It was the weirdest, most bizarre set of circumstances. I'm now really good friends with him.
Right.
So we meet, I haven't seen him for about a month, but generally we meet at least once every couple of weeks, mostly once a week, and just sit chatting magic and showbiz.
So what's he living up in Blackpool now, is he?
Yeah, he's now in Preston.
Right.
But he's sort of retired. He's kind of a little bit of a reclusive figure. So it's been really nice to get to know him as well. And the most bizarre of that was telling him, let's go and see the Burt Wonderstone movie that came out a few months ago. And we went into Preston to watch it, and it was a lunchtime showing, empty cinema. So there's me and my hero in magic sat next to each other. And I don't know if you've seen the movie.
I haven't seen it, no.
One of the characters is the old magician in the old folks home, and the guy who saw him on TV and became, So it's kind of a bit weird watching it and chuckling at the same things, and
sort of life imitating art, and that was
really really weird, really strange. Because any magician, I suppose we've all got one, but you say anyone living or dead would you want to meet? For me, Johnny Hart.
Right.
So how bizarre, and how we met was a bizarre set of circumstances as well. So it's kind of very strange.
Great story though.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, cool.
Great story. So when you got into performing, you didn't want to do it, so you got into it. Did you just kind of was it one of those things? I mean, I'm kind of almost a bit of an accidental magician, really.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of sort of find yourself, and then you look around and go, "Oh, bloody hell, I'm a magician."
Yeah.
Was that kind of what happened, or?
No, I learned. I remember the back palming thing. I got a little pamphlet from somewhere. I think it was Eddie Gibson. Anyway, up in Stoke. Can't remember the company, but it was a little pamphlet. That was all, and I learned how to back palm a card. And then I was I think as a kid I was in the Scouts for a very short time before I got kicked out. But there was a private public school in Hampstead. I used to live in West Hampstead where I was born. and one of the teachers at this school was a magician who was a member of the circle, and they kind of put me in touch with him, and he started teaching me. And then from there, it just sort of went. If you want to do if you want to do something better than the finger chopper and anything I bought at Hamley's, you got to do a little act. So I started doing a little act in my sitting room, and then it was sort of, well, if you want to do a little act, you got to show it to people. And it wasn't. I remember the first few gigs, I was frightened to death. These sort of scout shows, and and then I did that, and then I started doing pub talent shows in the 70s. The whole talent show thing was quite big in the pubs, especially in London, and it was tough as well. But a kid doing doves, cards, and quite a reasonable act, it was kind of a shock to everyone. They hadn't seen anything like that. So I used to do really well. So I was still at school, and I was entering these national competitions, and I think first prizes then were about £1,000, second prize 500. I always used to come first or second. So I used to come back. All my mates used to take the mickey out of me because they were going after school round to whoever's house to do whatever, and I'm like, no, I'm off home to practice. So I used to get home at 4 o'clock or whatever, put my tuxedo on, load up the tubs, and my big ambition then when I was about 14 was the Young Magician of the Year.
Right.
And the only reason was because Johnny Hart won it.
Right.
He was the first ever winner. So it's like, that's why I want to enter it.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Finally, second time round.
Right.
First time when I was 14, I did it, didn't get to the final, and then when I was 16, it's every 2 years. So the last chance I could have done it was when I was 16, and I won it. And that's really what really sort of set me off then, because the whole showbiz thing in the 70s was huge compared to now.
Yeah. And I had a kind of question right at the tip of my tongue. I was going to ask you about that. I was going to. You never followed Duncan into Covent Garden, then? You never.
No, I didn't do that because I was doing gigs.
Right.
I was actually bizarre. I won the Young Magician of the Year, and then bizarrely again, the stage newspaper used to. It's a big thing then. So people used to have these adverts in there, and I always remember Johnny Hart had an advert, and he'd put this agent's address at the bottom called Forester George in Park Lane in London. And it always stuck in my mind. So when I won the Young Magician of the Year, my naivety, I thought I'm going to write a letter to Forester George and say, hey, I'm the new Young Magician of the Year. Would you book me? And I remember they rang me on a Friday, and anyone in my age that sort of remembers, Dave Forester was a typical agent with a big cigar, sat in this huge office in Park Lane on the top floor. It was just a typical what you'd imagine an agent being. And I get a call from his assistants on the Friday, my dad did, saying, your son's written to us, would he come down on Monday morning? We want to have a talk to him. And so I took the morning off school, I remember it vividly, a 159 bus down to Marble Arch from West Hampstead, went in this place I'd never seen anything like it, concierge and the whole thing, went up to the top, and this guy sat down and he said, so you want to be a professional magician? And I said, yeah. And he said, what are you doing on Sunday? This was on the Monday. What are you doing Sunday? I said, nothing. He said, right, you're on with Ken Dodd at the Spa Theatre in Bridlington. And I seriously thought, I walked out, this is it. I've done it. I've made it. I've cracked it. And I remember getting the bus home, sitting just off cloud nine. This is it. I've done it. Got in, and my dad got in from work. Said, how did it go? And I said, I've got a show with Ken Dodd in Bridlington on Sunday. I couldn't drive. I was just about 16. So he ended up ringing them up and saying, is this true? It's kind of like my mum and dad. My dad was a lorry driver. My mum worked for the police and the civil service. So they're normal people. So to them, it was kind of a bit of a shocker as well. So, so I remember taking me all out to Bridlington to do this bloody one-nighter for 60 quid, I think I got. I thought it was wonderful. Couldn't believe it. And
but then
there, I did well. So then from there, I kind of started working these big summer shows that don't exist anymore, 6-month seasons in Blackpool, Bournemouth, wherever. They had these long-running shows. So I was very, very lucky. So Duncan was doing his Covent Garden thing, and I was sort of doing my proper, not illusion, I just did a little act, but it was all animals, like my hero, Johnny Hart.
Right. So, looking at where it all is now, the telling thing during that sort of story was you keep saying which doesn't exist anymore, and that doesn't happen anymore, and you can't do this anymore. I mean, you are known to those people who know you. You are known as being quite sort of opinionated. Is that a good word to use? You've got a strong opinion on.
You'll get yeah. I'm not. I say what I think.
You don't pull any punches.
And I also stand up for my friends. And if I see something wrong, I'll say it. And I think in magic, there's too much. Too many people sort of hiding behind, frightened to death of people, or just frightened to speak out, really.
Right.
And I just thought in life, it's really important. It's really important to me as a person to be dead straight and honest. And no one's perfect, but I kind of pride myself on the thing of, I'm quite a sort of proud person. So
right.
Some people say I should shut up sometimes, my wife especially, but I can't help it. And stopping performing has made me worse, because when you're performing, you have to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah.
Because of agents, gigs and stuff like that. Now I feel like if I want to say something and I believe it, and I feel like I'm right, then I'll say something. So,
but not wanting to open a whole can of worms, but now as someone who's kind of leading who was in the video production and sort of moving magic forward by providing content for magicians and kind of feeding the magic machine, as it were, and pushing forward this industry, because that's what magic is now, to an extent. Yeah. There's a performing level, and then there's an industry underneath it, isn't there? Yeah. And you're part of that industry.
I am, yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about all of that? How do you feel about that in terms of the way magic is going? And this is something we chatted about briefly before we started recording.
I don't like the way magic. I don't like the way magic's gone on TV.
Right.
The actual industry that I'm in now, I don't really have too bad an opinion of it, actually. I think it's brought a lot more young kids into it than we would never, ever have, because of the internet, the whole illusionist thing. And
it's very creative now, isn't it, in that respect? I mean,
yeah, I love it. I love there's some brilliant magicians out there. I just hate what it's become on TV. I hate it. I can't tell you. And I know that my friends of similar age all feel the same. Some of them aren't as vocal as me, but we all feel the same. I know we do. And it's just sad, you spend 35 years of my life learning the whole performance thing, and then it just means nothing now. It's just like, well, let's just fake it. Let's just trick it in one way or another.
Yeah.
Which was, we'll get onto it later, but one of my main reasons for doing a thing I just did with James Moore on Britain's Got Talent was a big part of it, because I got told by a magic consultant who said that I didn't get TV magic because of how I was thinking and my thoughts on it, and I didn't get it, and I was a bit of a dinosaur, and times move on. And I kind of, the one thing I am is I get it. I absolutely get why it's successful. I get why it's on TV. I get it, absolutely. That doesn't mean I think it's good or right.
Well, it's not, to be honest with you. I mean, it's something I think, I don't know whether I've actually published it yet, but I wrote a post on it, and it's not actually magic as we know it, if you know what I mean, because it's
really interesting. I've just put it on my Facebook. I've linked Penn and Teller just put a video up about TV magic, and he kind of, to me, he gets it wrong on some levels, but it's pretty much what I think.
Was it the Big Thought thing that he did, the Big Thinker?
Yeah. It's just him talking about TV magic and a couple of other things, but it was, he named Chris Angel, but it isn't that. It's just like, it isn't just TV, it isn't magicians, it's the TV people as well.
Yeah.
Don't understand it. It's that whole, I just don't get it. I get it, but I don't get why. It's just, you don't really need to do it. Why don't you just do it legitimately? Why do we have to fake everything like this? It's so lame, Do
you not think it's fascinating, though, that people, and again, this is something we talked about briefly, that people, can be watching a TV show, a magic show, 1 minute, and believe it.
Yeah.
And then Independence Day or Men in Black will come on.
Yeah.
And they realise it's complete fantasy. And yet the two things are exactly the same. They use very similar techniques, shall we say.
Yes. And that's what I don't,
I mean, I don't get that. You say you get it. I mean, I understand why there's a lot of this TV magic is popular.
Why, but I don't get the public falling for it. Although my perception is a lot of close-up guys now are saying to me that the magic that they were being said, but can you do it like so-and-so, is now kind of becoming. They're starting to get punters saying that they've kind of started to realise a lot of it is faked.
Yeah.
I think they're starting to realise it. And
no, I think that's very true. I mean, I certainly get it because I'm still a working close-upper, and I get a lot of that whole, think, well, people, know certain, they know certain things are impossible. I mean, an intelligent audience, but I mean, it depends again. I suppose it's what your demographic is and what you're aiming at, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But it's still, I always say, it's this whole thing of the dignity in what you do.
Yeah.
And I can look back at my big flared trousers and my powder blue suit, which was probably only a couple of years ago. No, which was when I started, and go, oh my God, it wasn't, oh, that was the fashion at the time. No, you looked like a knob at the time, Russ. You did, But as a person, I've always wanted to have a dignity in myself.
Yeah.
I felt like I was doing proper magic. I was being respectful to what went before me. I was always respectful of the people before me. I always had. And it seems to be like a lot of the young guys now, there is no respect. They don't, in the way that they don't even know the history of what they do. A lot of them don't. A lot of them. That to me is just, it's not right. It's just being respectful. And it's this whole TV culture thing of celebrity. We never had that. And luckily, because Johnny Hart was a 10-minute silent act that was never going to be, I don't know, he was never going to be a star like Paul Daniels. But that was what wasn't driving me. What was driving me was I wanted to be as good as Johnny Hart. I wanted to have this great 10-minute magic act. That was all. I didn't have, I want to be famous, I want to have a lot of money. I genuinely, that wasn't my motivation. A lot of people's motivation now are those things, and the magic is just a vehicle for it, which is the wrong way for me to be doing it, But then we all live our lives as we live them, don't we?
Yeah, no, everyone's very different. But I do, I suppose I'm from a similar generation, Russ, and I sort of agree with you in the sense that I think people are putting the wrong things first.
Yeah.
And to go into magic, thinking I want to be on TV, you're kind of missing actually the real joy of what being a magician is.
That's not fun to me, it's not. And I've always believed if you were good at it, or anything in life, you will do well. I do genuinely believe that if you're good, you will do well. And it was only when I stopped performing and I started working with other magicians closely, not necessarily the ones I was filming, but being around. And then I realized just how desperate a lot of people are to achieve a level of success, even if it's just a level of success in our industry.
Yeah.
I had a thing a few years ago with a FISM world champion, and my whole thing of that, what shocked me the most, it wasn't the moral thing of it, it was the degree that people will go to achieve even a level of success in our industry, which really is we're a tiny community, really. And it was kind of like, really sort of surprised me. But that's the one thing I've learned since I've stopped performing is the ambition and the drive and ruthlessness that a lot of people have in their career of performing or doing magic. They'll kind of tread all over everything. I've always been very naive and thought, oh, you're just good, you'll get work, and I kind of did. So,
Yeah, but I think there's certainly something to be said for not treading on other people, because again, it's something I wrote about a while ago, saying by standing on somebody else, by putting somebody else down, all you might get a little bit higher, but you've got shit on your shoes in the end, is what you've got.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I think that you were saying about how I am, and I think there have been two instances in the last few years where I've stood up, like publicly, one involving myself and one involving Wayne Dobson, who's a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And to me, it was both situations were morally wrong.
Right.
It was just morally wrong. Different instances and whatever, but it's that thing of just having some dignity in what you are as a person. And if you really believe something's been done wrong to you or to your friend, then you should support them and stand up, and be counted. So I wish there was more of that in magic.
Yeah, your magic in general attracts.
Yeah. But then you get the rep of being, someone that's a bit opinionated and a bit whatever. But I would rather be like me than the amount of well-known magicians that came up to me in both situations and privately said, just to let you know, 100% behind you. you're doing the right thing, you know. You just go, well, a little bit of public support would be. I mean, I did get public support, but it was just funny that it was all kind of don't really want to get involved though.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think maybe because it is such a small community and people are worried that it's going to damage their reputation, isn't it, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I don't have anything to lose now. I have a business that involves making magic DVDs and magic tricks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I've got my band of followers, and I don't know if they buy just because they're good products. That's it.
So with the DVD thing now, and with that business, I mean, how's that? Is that going from strength to strength now? Is that sort of?
Yeah, it is. It's been really, it just builds. Because I'm this little one-man band, it's kind of been quite easy to just keep building and building and building and getting, each year is better than the one before, which is a good sign. I mean, maybe it's going to level out or just crash, but I don't see it because the magic thing is, the whole internet thing is now a worldwide thing. 20 years ago.
Do you still think the market for the DVDs is there, or do you think now it's the downloads and the online stuff, or?
Well, my computer, my lovely iMac that was 3 months old, crashed on me last week, and I went to the Apple store with the computer. They'd already fixed it once and it had gone wrong again. So I went to the store, I bought it in Manchester, and the big guru came out and was looking at it, and he made some quip about DVDs because I was saying how the new iMac doesn't have a DVD drive. And he was like, DVDs, really? What are those? And I did feel like saying, the DVDs are what sort of make me my living, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, the DVD format is still, to me, well, I know it's big, because that's what I output on. Ideally, I would love to have everything up on my site and have them as instant downloads. I really, really would. It would be far cheaper as a product as well for us to do.
Yeah.
But I still believe people physically love a DVD arriving in the post in a box, and it's a physical product.
Yeah, no, I can attest to that from having done lectures and tried doing the buy the token for the online thing, or
keep it told by other dealers, the online way, it's the way to go. And maybe they're probably right, and I'm the dinosaur, but I don't see my business suffering at all. And I've got downloads up. I don't really promote them because I just prefer them getting a product. I've spent a lot of time and effort making something really nice, and it's a bit like but the game generational maybe. On my PlayStation 3, I downloaded a movie about 6 months ago for the first, paid £15 for it, and it was fine, but I was disappointed. It's a file just sitting on my plate. I don't know why, because it would have gone in a box and been thrown in a cupboard. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the DVD thing's still big. For me, all of my 90%, 95% of my sales are DVDs still. So, and I think with Peter as well at Alakazam, it's a similar situation.
Yeah. So, just because I mean, part of the whole the site, the Magic State of Mind site, and the whole one of the things about this is to sort of help other people get a grasp on what you do in order to achieve what you achieve. So, I mean, now as a business, I mean, what's your work ethic like? I mean, what's your sort of? Are you pretty ruthless with yourself? I mean, you are straight down the line. So, are you like that with yourself?
Yeah, no, I'm good, but I'm because I'm working from home. It's great. I can, the hardest part is taking the cameras out, filming the thing, and then coming home is great because I can do it when I like. And the show thing, like probably for you as well, I've still got this body clock going of nighttime, so I can be up till 4 a.m, sometimes later editing, and that's when I feel like I've got a real flow going on. If I get up as a 9 to 5 job, I can't. I feel like give me structure, and I can't do that. That's one of the reasons I realised when I was a kid what was the really good thing about performing was not having a normal job.
Yeah.
I picked that up really quick. But I remember when I was about 12, I went to a biscuit factory with my dad that he used to deliver to, and they took us on a tour of the biscuit factory, and women sitting on a conveyor belt with a coat hanger wire on a hook, and they were watching Jaffa Cakes, these English biscuits going by, and their job was to look at the rejects and put them in a bag. And I remember my dad used to bring these bags home, so I realised where they'd come from, and I remember thinking, that's a really crap job, that. When I was 12, and I remember thinking, I don't ever want to do anything like that. And it wasn't just that, it was this thing of imagining going in at 9 o'clock, finishing at 5 o'clock, 5 days a week. I I was in London having meetings with a magician that I managed, called James Moore, with these lawyers, and I left and I hate the traffic, and I was going to go over to Duncan's, who lives in Ascot. So it's the M25, and I got stuck in the traffic, 5 o'clock. And even then, when I got to Duncan's, I was like, you know what? I can't understand people doing this. It would drive me mad. This is what they do every day, 5 days a week anyway. It would drive me mad, the thought of it. So the whole magic thing for me has been that, and now I don't perform, I'm at home. So it's great. So my work ethic's really good, but I do it as and when I want to. And also, you know as well, if you're creating, and video editing is creative, there's some days where your work ethic's there, but you just can't get it going. It's not happening. It's not happening. And I mean the trailers more than the editing, you standing there doing a trick and explaining it. The performance footage and the trailers are the things that really are the creative things to me. So, yeah, so you can have a good work ethic one day and not get anywhere.
Right.
Another day I'll be, I'll go in and do some editing now, and it will just flow, and I'll just crack on with it, you know. It's great. I love being at home.
So are you much happier now doing what you do from home, doing this whole thing, than you ever were as a performer?
Yeah, million times.
You've finally found your sweet spot, do you think?
Once again?
Have you found your sweet spot, do you think, in terms of lifestyle, business? And...
Yeah. It was like the perfect thing for me. And what I had was what a lot of people in magic probably want, or they look at and aspire to, but it wasn't really what I ever really wanted myself. So it wasn't weird, but it was to not go back to, I never had a normal life. So to have a normal life, and I now see my contemporaries who are still performing, in Europe especially, my age group, still performing, still really into it all, and it's great. Good luck to them. But for me, it was just, you know, I just wanted to be at home. I want to have a normal life like normal people. My neighbours, I mean, since you feel we've moved, but my neighbours think we're mad. You know, that why wouldn't you want to be touring the world? And my thing is, I've seen the world.
You weren't that impressed anyway.
Yeah, I was all right. But once you've seen the Statue of Liberty once or twice, or wherever, it's, you know, it's not my bag. You know, I'm not into that kind of thing. So, you know, I do like the creative process. I've definitely got it wasn't magic. I'm really bad at inventing magic tricks, but I found I'm very good at staging magic, lighting magic, producing magic, anything visually to do with magic. I think I've got a bit of a talent for that. That's right. What I'm kind of good at. And the thing I did recently with James Moore, which was bizarre, we might talk about later, but that was the same. It was like my visual skills and my directing skills were what I really enjoyed. That was what I enjoyed doing with him. Yeah. So,
well, actually, it's a nice way to. We'll come on to James Moore now, because you that's, you know, you say that's where you found your thing now, is in magic, is in that creative, the direction of magic, the production of magic. I mean, whether it's the production of magic on DVDs or whether it's the production of magic in live, which is what you're doing now. So the whole James Moore thing, and for depending on when people listen to this or watch it, or James Moore's just hit the sort of UK screens, as it were, in Britain's Got Talent. Now, I'll tell you what, let's start at the beginning with this, because Britain's Got Talent, there are an awful lot of performers who would say, I mean, I personally wouldn't do Britain's Got Talent if I was asked, and I have been asked, and there's a lot of us who get the email who kind of go, not a chance. And I don't, do you know Matt Ricardo?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Matt's thing about Britain's...
No, I've not seen that.
Matt's got a whole skit within his show about he gets an annual letter every year it would be if it's annual, but he gets his letter every year from Britain's Got Talent saying we'd love you to have you in the show, and he wrote them this one year. He just wrote them this kind of diatribe, and I think he described it as a sort of a glass-floored slaughterhouse for variety acts or something like that.
Good description.
So first of all, how did you get involved with James then? What's that sort of...
So the company that I used to work for, the agency that I used to work for when I was doing the cruise ships, I was friendly with the owner, still am. And so when I quit performing, I thought, well, you know, there's some magicians that I know that if I help them out a little bit, I could get them work on these ships. But the big American ones, so the whole thing of cruise ships, the perception of them amongst some magicians is this sort of Butlins holiday camps at sea. Now, the huge big US corporations that run them, they're state-of-the-art, multi-million-dollar theatres, video projection systems, and it's as good as anything in Vegas, the actual production levels, at least. So I started putting two or three magicians and built up a little stable of people that have been working for me, that I've kind of been managing and booking them on these ships. And Duncan had told me about a young kid in the Young Magician of the Year, which must have been 5 years ago, called James Moore. And he said his act's not right, but it's he's really got something going, you know, as a performer. And he looks great, and he's just got something. Anyway, so I kind of kept an eye on him. And then eventually I sort of contacted him, and we got about 4 years ago, I got together, shot a promo of him in an empty theatre and bluffed the promo, really, and sold him to the ships. And he's been working for me for about 3.5 years now. So getting all the experience of doing a manip act and close up on the video screens, really. And he sort of evolved that way. And then last December, he suddenly said, I think I want to enter Britain's Got Talent. And my feelings of that show are probably worse than Matt Ricardo's. And when I was performing, we all got that letter, you know, the same thing. And I probably sent the same kind of email back at one point, so I was just getting fed up with it.
Yeah.
And I remember them saying that we want to represent magic properly. Oh, do we want to represent light entertainment properly? And I said, the last series that I saw, which I don't watch, but I did click it on one day, and there was a guy called Mr. Methane farting, bent over a table, farting to a music track, which just about sums it up. And their answer when they rang me was, no, it's all changed now. This year's going to be a lot more classy. Oh dear. So my whole thing with it was not to do it. But I said to James, if you want to do it, I totally understand, and I'll back you. I'll be behind you, sort of all the way with it. So because I totally believe in not him just, but what he's doing. He wants to do the illusion thing, and you know, we're of that age group where the Copperfield thing in the late 80s, early 90s, it was huge.
Yeah.
Blaine has been since 97. We've had 15 years of street magic and those subsequent TV shows. And I've said for ages that all magic is relevant, and it just does go in phases and cycles. But a young, good-looking guy who could perform as well, doing a cool illusion, is just as cool to an audience of young people that would like Dynamo and that kind of thing as anything. But all we see in the UK and in magic generally on the illusion field is cheesy. You know, it's cheesy, and they don't seem to progress from that early 90s thing. And we had the TV show, didn't we? The Magicians, the BBC thing, which I spoke out about. But anyway, that, you know, and I watched them and I just go, you know what? This is done so badly. It's so bad, so badly done.
Yeah.
In every way. You've got consultants that have never performed they've never performed professionally to a high level anyway. You know, and I'm getting a consultant, you know, telling me on a forum that I don't get it. And this particular consultant is about my age, and the best that he ever did was low rent Butlins or low rent cruise ships. And to me, you know, it just defies belief.
Right.
It just defies belief to me that you know, you can be employing people on a multi-million-pound TV show who don't have any credentials. They kind of bullshitted their way in.
Well, I mean, I know something. I mean, I'm quite close to someone who was very close in that show, and who basically, I mean, his description to me was it was like being on the most brilliant cruise ship, but being steered by a captain who didn't know where they were going, and just I mean,
I've heard. Obviously, I know Paul Wilson, and we've had chats and stuff, and I get the constrictions of it all. But my Britain's Got Talent thing was, which we'll hopefully talk about quickly, but my Britain's Got Talent thing was that I was gonna, no matter what happened, we were gonna do it exactly how we wanted to do it, and if we didn't do it that way, we weren't gonna do it. Right. And I don't think they realised what they. James did the audition, so you did. Everyone knows, but you know, you do an audition thing, and then if you do well on that, you get kind of invited to a day where there's 180 acts and 40 or 50 get told you're through and the others get told you're out. And James's audition piece that he did was the Impaler Illusion. And, you know, it's a horrible cold atmosphere, that whole walking out on a brightly lit stage. Simon Cowell's first question to James as he walked out was, we all know that Dynamo's brilliant, so how do you compare yourself to him? You know? So James's answer was great, and he put his hands out, and he said, well, Dynamo does his thing, I do my thing, and when you see what I do, you'll see we're completely different. We do a completely different kind of magic. Oh, okay, fine. And you know what Simon Cowell's like with magic. And we'd set it so the piece was only a minute and a half, probably a bit longer. And you know, the trick's a great illusion, but I never see it done well, the Impaler. It's always really hokey. And anyway, James did it, absolutely ripped the place apart. You know, just on the drop where the trick happens was fantastic. But at the end of it, jump up, standing ovation, freaking out. Simon Cowell saying, "You're the first magician I've ever seen I could take to America tomorrow." Unbelievable. And then we wait 4 months for it to be aired. And as it was, he was on the last audition show.
Right.
And then for whatever reason, he slotted in at the beginning of the show, and all the comments, a standing ovation, nothing there. I think we got David Williams or someone saying, that was amazing. But that was it. And I just thought, what? You kind of, it boggles you as to what their thought processes are and what they're going to do. So James's journey throughout all of this was kind of weird. So I can't say too much because I know he signed a contract. But for my thing, I can pretty much say what I want.
Yeah.
But but he wasn't meant to be in the live shows, put it that way. And he ended up in the live shows. So it was a very strange process.
I mean, it's a horrible environment for magicians, isn't it?
It's horrible.
Because you can't listen. I mean, my biggest thing, I mean, it's funny because, do you know, I mean, there's Charlie Caper, who won Sweden's Got Talent.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, excellent.
And I would say the thing about, the thing that Charlie did really well was that in the first act that he did, that's when he created the persona and the character. Because I think his first one was his strongest thing, and I think the actual subsequent performances weren't as strong.
Yeah.
Because you've just got no time to. I mean, if you've got guys like Kevin James not able to get through. I mean, and Kevin James is one of the greatest acts out there. I mean, he's incredible.
Kevin's thing, he did the cutting, which is mega, and then he wanted to do, from what I believe, he wanted to do something else in the live show in the finals, and they said, no, we want the hand, and he was like, no, I want to do.
But the hand is the thing you get.
Yeah, and then he does the hand, and then Piers Morgan says it's not good, and you go, wait a minute, I didn't want to do the hand. I mean, from what I can gather.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew these stories. My respect for TV is zero.
Right.
Actually, -0.
Right.
-0. So I'm not the best person really to ask to be involved in this Britain's Got Talent thing. Plus, I feel like you do about the show and a lot of other workers. So he did the audition anyway. It was a bumpy road, but eventually we get this call. James is in the live show. We need you to come in and discuss what you're going to do. James has got to the point where he's got 2 illusions. He's got an Impaler illusion and a squeeze box illusion, which the squeeze box illusion is not it's a mid-show illusion. It isn't a big illusion. It isn't a spectacular.
He did that on Penn and Teller, didn't he? Is that right?
Yeah. It's a mid-show Andre Cole great illusion, but it's just, you know, it's like stuff that you do. You've got an opener, a closer, some stuff stronger, and for various reasons they work. And the squeeze box is a mid-show illusion. It's a cool illusion, but to me that's it. And we went in and they'd seen a certain illusion and they wanted this certain illusion. And I remember we went in this glass walled room within an office, an open plan office, in the middle of an office, so everyone's looking at you, in a room that wasn't a lot bigger than my office. And you're sitting around this sort of long table with me, James, and 5 other people. And one of them, who I hadn't met, was a lady sitting opposite me who said, we want this illusion. And I said, well, we can't have it because you won't be getting it built in time. And so but I don't want to do that. We want to do this one. So she said, what's the trick? And it was the table of death, which is the laying on a bed with the big bed of spikes above.
Which is what he did.
Another Andre Cole illusion. And I remember we sat, and it was the worst 40-minute pitch of my life because I sat there, and James just sat there and said 2 or 3 words throughout, and I was sort of, this is what we want to do. She said, what happens at the end? I said, at the end he appears in the audience. So, well, that's rubbish. Why is it rubbish? Because the audience will see him. I said, well, number one, if they did see him, it wouldn't matter because it's all about the viewers at home. But most importantly, the audience won't see him. Yes, they will. I promise you they won't see him. Yes, they will. So I had this whole pitch. Well, we know that's not his shadow. What do you mean? Well, we know it's not. It's just a trick. Well, yeah, it's a trick. But they will believe it's his shadow. They won't even have time to even think about that. Yes, they will. It's rubbish. And the end of the meeting literally was that we didn't have the illusion. We were going to hire it in, which is what a lot of magicians, I think, on the American show do.
Right.
So we were going to hire it in, and the fact that it's dangerous, genuinely dangerous, and it was going to be live. You know, I had certain things typed out in a list. This is what we need. We need your dancers. We need, this amount of rehearsal time exclusively with them. And it was no to everything. We had no, like, there's no way that's happening. You're not having them, and we're not doing that. So we left the meeting, and James, in his usual understated way, said that was a little bit of a good cop, bad cop meeting. And I said, you never said anything, and I said everything they said no to. I'd say that's pretty right, but I think they just think I'm a complete and utter tosser, to be honest. They couldn't believe that someone was coming in saying to them, this is how it is.
Right.
They couldn't. I could tell they had never had it in their lives, to the degree of there was no bending on my part. It was, this is what we want. And that's it. And we walked out there thinking, that's it. He's not going to do it. They're not going to do it because they didn't agree to one thing. And then 5 days went by, and then they rang up and said, right, okay, we're gonna go for it. We'll do it.
And you got all your conditions?
We did, yeah. We got it, which was a really big deal. But then about 10 days before the actual live show, I quit. I quit over just them not doing exactly what I wanted, and they kind of started to bend what we agreed. And so I sent an email saying, that's it, I'm gone. And James, who was more in contact with them than me at the time, got a phone call from the executive producer, who was very upset and said, you don't realise we've got 5 people that are jumping your shoes, and we'll do this and we'll do that, and it doesn't matter, we can replace you like that. And James said, look, it isn't me, it's Russ. Russ he hasn't threatened you, because she was saying, we don't want to be threatened by anyone. He says, it's not threatening, he's just quit. And if he isn't doing it, I can't do it. Without Russ, I can't do it. And so she actually said to James, and I'm going to quote this because I'm going to dine out on this for a long, long time. She said, Russ's demands for respect make Simon Cowell seem nice to deal with. Hey? So, and it wasn't a prima donna demand for respect. It was, if we're going to do this, you've in England anyway, you've represented magicians badly. I agree, there's a lot of bad ones that have been on there. There have been some that have done okay and have been shot really badly, lit really badly. The performance isn't really that good. The magicians themselves, some of them aren't really that good. And the thing with the illusion thing is, unlike any other branch of magic, to me the most important thing is the person, which is the same in most magic, but physically it's important as well. And if you're not, to me, if you're going to do that slick illusion thing, if you're not 6 foot tall and a good looking guy, slim and that can move and has got presence, don't even bother thinking that you can do an illusion act straight. If you want to do a comedy one, then fine. But don't be a little guy doing your magic and think that you're going to be a slick illusionist, because it isn't going to happen. So that's why I got involved with James, because I could see the potential just on how he was and his performance skills, that I knew he was of a certain standard. There was something to work with. So so we kind of, it went back on track, and then it was fine, and we pretty much got where we did. If you watch, it's up on YouTube. If you tap in James Moore, Britain's Got Talent, it's the Table of Death. If you watch it, you'll see, I think for the first time in their history, and I've never seen any other, not magician, act, they never cut to the judges once they never cut to the audience once until the performance was over. It was all shot on the illusion, which was only 2 minutes long, but it was still, it's still 2 minutes to them. That's a massive time.
Yeah.
And to get them to, the most important thing for me was when James is laying on this table, they cover a curtain in front of him, was that when he's laying on that table, when he's in shot, was that we have one shot, whether it's a tracking shot or a still shot, it had to be one shot from him in view being covered to the spikes all lit dropping down on him and the curtain opening and he's gone. Had to be one shot, which for them, if you watch their show, that was, I mean, when I mentioned it in the meeting, 5 people laughed out loud, laughed. They thought that was hilarious, that, I would possibly want a shot that lasted more than 3 seconds. So, and it did come out well. If you watch the...
Yeah, I've seen it, I've seen it a couple of times, yeah.
Yeah, he did it well, but also they shot it well. And they lit it properly, like I'd asked. And it was kind of like proving a point, because I'd watched The Magician Show and other stuff and spoken out about stuff. And it was kind of like, actually, I know that I'm right, because unlike most of the guys that are technically advising, I've kind of done it. That's what I did all my life. So I kind of know about lighting, staging, framing an illusion, how to shoot an illusion.
Yeah.
I'd worked with Wayne Dobson for 2 of his 3 TV series, advising him on the illusion side. So I had all that experience, and kind of when you do speak out, it was kind of part of my thing with James that I wanted was just to say to everyone, look, you can do it right without faking it. You can shoot it right. You can make magic look great, and illusions, which are normally the naffest thing, look great. And it did look great, and he looked good. And most of my Facebook comments and people that emailed me a few bits on the forums were people saying, I'm proud to, in the UK, I'm proud to say I'm a magician after watching that. And that to me was fantastic. It wasn't about anything to do with making money or anything that came out of it. It was just this thing of showing people, for me, to prove a point, really.
And so, is he now got a future? So, can you turn your volume down a touch? Because I'm really echoey in the.
Yeah, I'm really low actually, but go. Yeah, okay.
No, it's just I can hear I'm coming back to myself.
Okay.
Has James now got a? It's because they do a live show now, don't they? That's part of the contract, isn't it?
Yeah, the live show I think last year didn't happen. That's not even really on my radar. My radar was that I wanted him to get corporate stuff and, just raise his profile up a bit. And
right.
That's happened. That's definitely happened from that, which is amazing to me. The whole internet thing was, on the Monday morning I got a call off a guy in Singapore with a gig, not until next March, but a huge gig. It was probably, it was as big as my sort of thing in the Mandalay Bay at the end of my career, and this is at the beginning of James's really, and he's kind of jumped straight in there. So which is what I was saying earlier before we came on, was I got out of it and now I'm back in it, but I'm not performing, but I kind of don't want to be in it. It's like, oh, I didn't do it for this reason, but naively, of course, there are the resulting things of if you have a successful performance and they can see something in someone. I mean, we had meetings with Simon Cowell's lawyers a couple of days ago. So, I mean, things are sort of happening that I can't really talk about, but yeah, things are happening, but that wasn't really the reason for doing it. It was what we were talking about earlier, really. It was, my motivations were different, and this is just the byproduct of it, is that maybe he'll be working, more predominantly.
And so does that fact that you're not performing now, does that give you that, and you're not performing, but you're also this character, you have this character that says what you want and drives that sort of, quite straight down the line. Do you find that's quite useful now, that you can step to the side and say, actually, you either do it like this or you don't do it at all?
Because on an official level, I'm James's sort of manager.
Right.
But anyway, I'm sort of James's manager, but I'm more than that because of what I used to do. So I like directing and watching and staging, and I can now watch, instead of me getting on that table, I'm like watching him so much easier, and that's what I wish I had, was someone that could direct me, that kind of understood magic and understood the theatre of it, and that only comes with experience. So I think James he knows, it always amazes me that magicians always direct, that illusionists especially direct themselves. They don't have anyone telling them. It's always been strange. When I first got involved in production shows, you had a director, and the director told you what they thought you should do, and a good director wouldn't make you, but they would suggest it, and you would, if you were smart enough, you would go, you know what, that's better than what I'm doing. I get that. And so you kind of learn from it. And I think James is at that point now where he's starting to realise. Also, James put his trust in me completely on that whole Britain's Got Talent thing. He's 24. He doesn't know what I did in the past. You know how quick time flies. I'm just thinking everything was yesterday.
Yeah.
I think my first Mystique, James was born 2 months after the first Mystique show I did, which was the first proper Illusion show. So, yeah, you kind of forget that. And so James doesn't really know anything of my history. He knows of my, like, a reputation I might have, but he's kind of put his faith in me. And I think even for him, the whole Britain's Got Talent thing was a real learning curve. And also for him trusting me. You know, he had to put his trust in me that I knew. Because there's a lot of people that can talk the talk, but not many of them walk the walk, do they? As we know.
And I suppose for him on Britain's Got Talent, I mean, as a young performer starting out, he had nothing to lose either. So you had nothing to lose in terms of you've done it, and he had nothing to lose.
Yeah, I said the American companies that are booking you on these ships, if Simon Cowell says you're dreadful and you get booed off, well, no one's going to know, apart from the only thing is the humiliation in front of your friends and your contemporaries. You know, and I said to James, the really cool thing about it being positive for me, for him, is that 2 minutes that they saw was, to me, it was world class. It really was. As an illusionist, that was world class. I don't care what anyone says. And I said at the end of it, I didn't expect James to go through. We didn't even know what we would do if he went through. Genuinely, I had a rough idea, but I knew I couldn't top it. So it wasn't something in our mind. But when I look at the impressionist that won, she's fine, but she's not up there with the best impressionist in the world. She's good, it's all right. But I said, what you did, James, there, or what we did, it is up there with, you know, the really high, you know, standard of illusionists. That was a really good performance, and it was good. It was good, and that to me is the success for me. I don't need anyone to tell me good or bad, because I know the reality of it is it was a very good performance that he did, and in fairness, the TV company as well. And bizarrely, I got an email on the Saturday night before the next night, bizarrely, like 15 minutes before their live show, the exec producer sent me a really long email saying, I just want to say thanks so much. It's been a rocky road. She put, it's been a rocky road, but I think the mixing of the TV and the magic together, two worlds coming together, that we kind of finally understood each other. But I think it was more them understanding the magic, because I kind of got the TV thing. I understand that. And she was delighted, like, absolutely. This was a woman that said, no, that's rubbish, no, you can't appear here. And it was great. So it's very nice that she, I think in the end there was a real respect. I don't think she necessarily liked me as a person to start with at all, but I think it grew as she started to realise that we knew what we were doing. That it grew into a bit of a respect, although we were a pain in the arse. We were a constant pain in the arse. But I think in the end, I mean, the last dress run, I remember I walked in and she was sitting on the judges' chairs, and I just heard this voice say, hello, Russ. And it was like this weary, he's back, but, you know, here we go. And it wasn't me throwing wobblies, it was me just saying, this is what we want, and we will have it. And they weren't used to that. They were used to acts going in there, just bowing to them and doing what they were told. Well,
because I can imagine a lot of the acts who go in there have had no experience of working at all. I mean, a lot of them aren't acts.
Well, there was a magician the night before, James, who was a working illusionist, English guy. He did his act, he does an act, and he did the audition, and he did a levitation, and it was great, and blah, blah, blah. But they completely produced his live performance for the finals. Completely. He literally did what he was told, this is what's going to happen. And I didn't think he was as good on that as he was on doing his own thing.
Yeah.
It's because his own thing, he's been working himself for a few years, you know.
So are you, as the sort of, are you stepping more into that management role then? Or that,
I don't want to. I really, really don't want to. And my wife, you know, I was saying, you know, this is, I don't want it to affect my RSVP business, because that's what I really like. What it gives me is, I'm away from show business.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of like getting a bit dragged back into it. But hopefully once I've set James's show, we've got a really big gig coming up in July in a few weeks' time. So we've got a week of rehearsals and stuff with the dancers and crew and stuff. So once that's set, my plan is that he's got his show, he runs it, that as I used to run mine. So I'm happy to be a manager to get a phone call and say, can you do this and how much is it? And that's it, and send a contract. But I don't want to get dragged into the whole thing again. It won't happen.
But there's got to be, there's certainly must be a degree of satisfaction on your part seeing someone do well, because you obviously think he's got a great career ahead of him, a great future.
What was really nice was I've spotted it. We had meetings with various people, in the last couple of years, TV people that I don't think they either have a perception of illusions or they don't see in James what I can see, and I can see it. I think the real buzz for me was at the end of his performance when he came off. My buzz and my excitement was saying, here's a good-looking 24-year-old guy doing illusions. It isn't naff, and it's cool. It's cool. It wasn't dated.
Yeah.
It was, and I'm 52, and to be told, oh, you don't get it. I think that was probably, I found that incredibly insulting especially from the person that said it.
It's funny actually, because I had a conversation yesterday with someone, and we were talking about this concept that most magicians now almost want to be anything else but magicians.
Yeah.
And it was quite, there was three of us having this conversation. It was actually an interview that I filmed, which went horribly wrong because I pressed on instead of off and all that kind of off instead of on. So I'll have to do it again. But the conversation a lot was about this idea that magicians do seem to want to be anything other than magicians, and we're the ones who are kind of inflicting the pain on our own industry, really.
Yeah. It's just because the whole thing was, the whole TV thing, like I say, is bizarre. It's just the most bizarre situation. We just had Ben Earl's thing, and that was I would consider Ben a friend in magic, and I shot his Past Midnight project with Peter. And he's just brilliant.
He is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal talent.
Card magician. I filmed a lot. To me personally, just stunning. I'm like his biggest fan. And then he does a TV show where he doesn't do any of that. It's like, well, what we're going to do then is we're going to get you. And I don't know whether it was, maybe it was a performance thing as well, but it's like, what possesses you to think you can go on without any performance experience, or getting a magician and just making them do what they want you to do. You know what I mean? And like these multi-magician format shows, I don't get it. It's like, if you want James Moore, this is what he does. We were approached by the Discovery Channel to do a show called Breaking Magic a year or so ago. And to me, it involved exposing magic principles. They were scientific principles, but some of them were stuff we use. And so we walked away from it. They couldn't believe it.
Is this the thing that's out now with the Science of Magic or Magic?
It's called Breaking Magic. It gets as bad as, what's a really hit, cool series? Breaking Bad. I assume that's the logic.
Right.
Breaking Bad, that's cool. Let's Breaking Magic. Jesus. Yeah, it's just no. It is. And the worst is my experiences. They read a lot of these. Creatives in TV, they think they're being creative. This is creative genius on their part. I just think it's just basic errors. I also don't understand, and Dynamo has proved it. That I've said with Duncan for quite a long time. Why don't they get a guy and make someone? Why don't they get a talented magician and make him into a star, or try and create a star, or try and create something around someone, rather than here's a format. Monkey tennis. It became a reality. The whole Alan Partridge thing that I laughed at 15 years ago, whenever it's become a reality. It is monkey tennis now, and it's, I had an agent ring me about a new concept for a magic show with 6 magicians, and they wanted Jones to be part of it. Where I can't even remember. It was just so bad in concept, and it was just to film footage to go and pitch the idea. And of course, they'll have no end of people that will go in there and do it for nothing. And to me, it isn't going to make you a star. The Breaking Magic thing, that's not going to make you a star. Whoever does it, the money's going to be minimal. We all know that. So what reason would you want? You're going to get no respect from... I've always thought respect from your peers is always important as a performer, that you want to be... People go, I don't like the illusion thing, but he was good at that. Or, it's very important. And so just jumping in and doing stuff because you want to be famous, and it isn't going to happen. Whereas the Dynamo thing, they've got a guy it's very well done. The whole giving his whole backstory, that was the clever part of that.
Yeah.
And they've gone, let's get him, and look what's happened. And that's on Watch, on a bloody satellite channel, and he's huge.
Yeah, he's the face of Pepsi now, isn't he?
Good luck to him. You know, I've sort of had my things on the Dynamo thing, but I totally get it. And I also say absolutely good luck to him.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with you.
From where he's come from, to me, all respect, and I get why, I get the whys. I just think that, you know, the whole TV thing, they should, you know, you can do things differently.
There's another way, yeah.
Yeah.
So look, I mean, it's very quick because we've been going on for a while, and I'm conscious of your time. But there's a question I always ask people. All right, I don't know if I remember. I asked them, and I've remembered, which is this kind of concept of success. Because you've talked about making people stars and all that kind of thing, but this concept of success. I mean, for you, in terms of, because at the beginning of this, you said you always wanted a dog to walk around on the beach, you know. 5 seconds later, the dog barks in the background.
Yeah.
Great illusionist timing.
It's on tape.
Yeah. No, I know. It's all fake. It's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, do you feel like you've kind of made it now? Do you feel happy with what you've got?
Yeah. I feel really happy with how I've ended up.
Yeah.
This is like how I'd be more than happy to just end my days. Is just the life that I've got, and I can look back on what I did. I wasn't at the time because you're in a whirlwind of it all. But when I look back on certain things, I just go, wow, that was pretty cool. Like some of the stuff, some of it is embarrassing from years back, but you do go, wow, you know, my dad was a lorry driver. I had no money. I wasn't, I did that myself. Wow, how cool is that? And I didn't do it for the reasons of ego, which is one of the reasons I think James and I work really well together, because I haven't got that problem of thinking it should be me.
Yeah.
You know, I could be doing that, but that doesn't even enter my mind because I'm not into the performing thing of I want to be famous, or I've never had that. Genuinely. Duncan's the same. Duncan and I were both 10-minute silent magicians. That's all we ever wanted to do. He loved Richard Ross's act, and I'm Johnny Hart, and we just want to be like that, you know, as kids. And then, so you never had that thing of I want to be Paul Daniels, or I want this fame thing, so it's kind of, in a good way, it's really healthy. This point in my life, having my attitude is really healthy. My wife used to be an ice skater, really good one, and when the day she stopped, which was years back, when she stopped, she's never skated since. She doesn't miss performing. She's exactly like me. That's a really healthy way to be, and you don't have that, you know, that like you're missing out on anything. Because I kind of did what I wanted to do. Really, I didn't become a TV star. I didn't have my own TV show. And that was never genuinely on my radar, because I never thought that was going to happen anyway, because I'm a 10-minute silent manipulator. To be an illusionist, I never dreamed of doing that. So that was all a bonus, you know. So yeah, it's a good place to be.
And just sort of in parting, I mean, if you are someone who's got a massive amount of experience, and you've kind of seen a great deal of magic over the years, and probably more so in the last 5 years with doing RSVP.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of people coming into the industry and going through the industry, I mean, would if someone said to you, right, what's the best bit of advice? And you obviously are advising James now and sort of directing his career, but what is the sort of thing, do you think, the most common mistake and the best way to avoid it, do you think, that people are making? Or what's the most positive thing you can say to people about it?
The most positive thing is what we said before, is to be doing it for the right reasons, which is because you love magic.
Simple.
Yeah. That's it, and I'm fine. I get why other people come in on a different level, but to me, you know, you should love what you do. Otherwise, it's just a passing thing, and you're not respectful of it either. And also to the younger people to find out what was before David Blaine and what he respects as well. And you know, you hear Blaine talk, and you know he's got that knowledge of the history of what came before. And it's because since him, you've got the whole YouTube, big internet thing. You are getting people just jumping in there. A lot of stuff's online now. On YouTube, you can learn, you know, your double lifts, and you don't care where it came from. But I just think it's just in any job that you do or anything you've got passion for, be respectful of what came before, but also have your own mind. You know, if you think, if you think things are wrong, or speak out, and that's important to me.
And don't get on the wrong side of Russ Stevens.
I've heard that. I'm a little I'm very soft, really. I just have this thing that I do, kind of stand up for my friends, or if I see an injustice from me, I won't do it just because there's a lot of it going on, you know, and I know the stuff that goes on that no one ever speaks about, but between us all, we all know. And it's kind of, sometimes it is good to speak out, especially if it involves you, you know. So, and I think one of the situations with Wayne, you know, there were quite a few people that this particular person had, they were frightened of this guy, and the subsequent thing that happened, they kind of spoke out, and he doesn't have that thing over them anymore, you know. And a lot more people know about the things that have gone on subsequently because of it, because of Wayne's situation, you know. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't regret. But the main thing in life, Pete, is to not regret stuff or look back and go, you know, things that happened. I personally, there aren't many big regrets that I was in control of, you know, that I just go, yeah, I wish I'd done that differently. I'm kind of quite pleased with the way everything ended up. So
good stuff, and what a great end to it all. A massive thanks to Russ for speaking to me, and remember, you can find more interviews like this at www.magicstateofmind.com.